Luffy's gender orientation or sex or anything. We just go through it. We say him. So there's me right here. Okay, so the creature is big like this and short, very short, obviously, because it's a creature. So the feet were there. Great big feet that look kind of like the hands. Here comes Tom. Great. And so I'm pretty sure I got this part right. He might be that, I don't know. So yeah, it was like, and I could.
There's Tom.
Tom or somebody else. And the creature could run along. That was Marty? Oh, you were the feet. There's the creature's feet. Marty here.
So, I was just asking about like how you came about with the look of Fluffy. Was there anything that you based it on, or just
I had Rick Cadizone, Phil Wilson, and myself. We did sketches of what we thought Fluffy should look like. We gave them to Stephen King and George Romero, and they picked one of mine. So that's why Fluffy looks. The script says you see a blur of fur and teeth, and he became Fluffy.
and who named it Fluffy?
I think we had a contest. We had everybody put a piece of paper in a hat with names on it. And we picked one and it was Fluffy.
Did you have any in mind when you were putting it together, or just a creature? And about how much time went in from the drawing to actually a working months?
2 months. 2 months, yeah. Hey, didn't you have to go to New York and have your eyeballs cast?
It was cool because I actually was living in New York City at the time with my dad, and I got sent home to go to an optician to have my eyeballs cast. You see, Fluffy's eyes, this takes care of pronunciation. You guys are I think they glass, they're big, they cover the whole weight of your eye. So here we were talking, and I were like casting everything and making all of it, and I ended up getting sent back to New York City, sitting back in a dental chair, and being cast with the eyeballs. Yeah. It was,
How do they do that?
there's a glass tube vertically with like a hemisphere, perforated hemisphere of glass, and like squeeze, liquid in my eyeballs, and sticks that hemisphere over my eyeball, and leaning back like that, and then he injects a bunch of optical alginate. Yeah, that's the fine stuff. But we were using dental alginate all the time, as we were doing. And then they had hold of my eyeballs, and they took it from there. Yeah.
Hey, what sounds better? Holding it close? Holding it far away? Holding it close. Holding it close. You can understand us better. Well, what do you want to know?
You guys got questions? I have a handful. They don't.
Well, thanks for coming.
So, I got back to the eyeglass. How long could you wear those? How long could you wear them?
Well, today, when they do cat eyes, they're weighted at the bottom. So they don't, we spend most of our time writing the eyes with like a suction cup, because his eyes were constantly moving all over the place. But how long could you wear them?
Yeah, I remember that. People often ask me, like, how hot and comfortable and terrible was that Fluffy costume? And I say it was fine, really, except for the damn eyes. It's like, fortunately, they would put the eyes in for me at the last minute, and we would do a shot, because after 15 minutes, I would get a terrible headache. That's the answer to that, every time. And, it's weird though, yes, sometimes in The paint job. Okay.
What's that? It just seems like a soft glass. Is it anything with that?
They were hard glass and a little bit thick. Yeah.
And do you still have the eyes and the smell? So let's find out a little bit about John's makeup in the film. What exactly was the challenges with wearing it and doing it?
Yeah. Yes, cast my hands, cast my head. Ultimately, however, the headpiece, the gloves, the costume built like a suit that I could just put on was not at all difficult to work with. I mean, it was pretty simple. I was able to move the mouth, chin piece under my, piece under my. I could see. So it wasn't bad. It was not a difficult process. Tom actually cast me because I was probably about 50 pounds lighter than I am now and would still be okay to look emaciated with the costume. So I wish I would have had 50 pounds lighter today. So that took about a week to get all of the preparation that I was involved with the costume. I went away for a month or so, did his magic. I came back and we shot for a week. All went pretty well, except I was given a choice at one point to have the maggots. Yeah,
Maggots! Say maggots!
yeah. And the problem was that they gave me a choice,
Chose not to do it.
and I chose not to do it. So a wonderful. What was her name? Do you remember?
Debbie Pincus.
Yeah, she was, she had the courage and the intestinal fortitude. Yeah, but nobody, just me.
Just you?
Yeah. I think they operated that from above.
Okay. Anyway, we shot at a mansion owned by a guy named Abbott. His German Shepherd died while we were shooting it, and he's buried in John's grave. He just shoved him in the hole and covered it up.
But I had the opportunity to work with some really wonderful people. Vivica Linford was just a doll, absolute gem. Carrie and I, hilarious. She was a chain smoker, so she kind of talked like this. And Ed Harris, I got to kill. That doesn't happen every day for people. So it was all in all really a really terrific experience. I want to acknowledge I got a birthday cake a few days ago. Yeah, thank you very much, by the way. I didn't share it. I took it home. I was going to share it, but I took it home. It is delicious. Thank you.
Is that why you pointed over there?
Yeah.
Gotcha, kid.
Yeah, got it. So what else can I tell you?
The only thing wrong, we have to work with other departments, and we had to work with the costume department. We didn't make the costumes for our creatures. And there were 2 cases in Creepshow where the costumes were fucked up. I wanted his costume to be like 2 sizes too big, so he would look small, but they gave him a skin-tight suit, and that wouldn't work for a
So if you had the choice, would you take maggots this time?
I would not if I could give me the choice. Even today, I think I make the wise choice.
How often do you work with maggots on costumes? How often do maggots enter the
We
picture?
always have a supply of maggots. It's part of our trade. It's part of the kit.
Is there a maggot wrangler?
No, I think pet stores have them. For feeding what? What would they feed maggots? Maybe I don't know. Certainly not a trash. That's what they were. They were meal workers. They weren't really maggots.
Use them for fishing.
Yeah, meal workers.
On the subject of creepy crawly stuff, let's go over to Mark real quick about the work you did with roach stuff.
Yeah. Right. I did two things, but the role that I had was in the Mr. Pratt after the Roaches, and I was the voice of Carl Reynolds. And Mr. Pratt answers the phone, speaks to me, and I say, "That's Carl Reynolds, sir. I'm calling from Orlando." And he starts screaming at me, "You like your job, Reynolds? You like your job? You know, get rid of these roaches." And while I'm on vacation, yeah. But the story is when I was introduced to when George Romero introduced me to E.G. Marshall, who was playing Mr. Pratt, and he was a big star at that time, and I think George was really happy to have him. He introduced him. Mr. Marshall, this is Mark Tierno, he'll be playing Carl Reynolds, and Mark, this is Mr. Marshall, and I put out my hand to shake his hand, and he had his gloves on, and he said, he pulled back and said, "Oh, I'm sterile," and I immediately said, "Oh, perhaps you've been adopt." And I looked over and the mouth was just, this is a big star. I'm making a joke. But it went very well. And then I worked pretty much the whole film. I was stand-in, which means that I was the person who they set up the lighting shots with. For Prince Weaver, sometimes Al Gore, Ted Danson, Stephen King, and then what would be the last thing? That's it's called Reynolds. Yeah.
What about roaches?
He sent two entomologists to Trinidad to collect the roaches. The stories they told of collecting the roaches are scarier than any movie you've ever seen. The roaches live in the backwater. So they would reach down in the backwater as far as they could and make a hole, turn off the light, wait 60 seconds, turn the light back on, the hole would be filled with those roaches. Biggest roaches you've ever seen. And they were stuck in the plastic bags. And they brought 18,000 roaches back to Pittsburgh. And we bred 10,000 more in a trailer that we call the roach. So there were three big drums. The Stevens, named after Stephen King, they were the biggest. The Georgians, after George Romero, the middle school. And the smallest ones were called Richards, after the producer, Richard. So George could say, "Bring me 2,000 Georges, 4,000 Stevens." They would bring the roaches to the set, and as soon as they dumped them, they were gone. Most of the roaches you see in the movie are pistachio shells, painted black, because the roaches disappeared. One day the entomologist, for the scene where E.G. Marshall, when the roaches come out of the vent, there was a vent, a funnel outside of the room, and they were going to pour the roaches in the funnel and have them go down and come out of the vent. They poured the roaches in, they all came back out on the entomologist. He ran screaming out of the room, covered in roaches. into a sealed room in the window. Okay, cue the blood, cue the roaches, action! Roaches came out of E.G. Marshall. And I couldn't figure that one out. George told me how to do it. You know, the Creepshow is 5 movies. And everything in there, me and Daryl were the only, we did it all. All the creatures, all the things. So I couldn't figure out how to make the roaches come out of E.G. Marshall's chest. George said, well, just cut the hole, cover it with toilet paper, paint it like flesh, and the roaches would just, and they did. You know, we pumped mud in there so the roaches would leave little bloody footprints. But George solved that problem. Oh, yeah. We had a huge syringe behind the mouth. The entomologist would fill up the syringe with roaches. And that's how they come. Remember the first take they got clogged, like a big turd? A big turd of roaches, you know.
There were 2 giant plexiglass tubes that we built the syringes out of. A big one for the chest, a smaller one for the mouth. And so I was under I think Eddie hit this at the other syringe, waiting for the cue, and then we just punched the roaches. Well, there were 2 though. I'm just thinking she did that. To be honest, she would be. Debbie did this love, she was so into. I think she would have fought for the job, right? And those entomologists, they don't need to be under the bed, right? They probably didn't want to do that. It had to be her. Yeah, she was cool.
Air bladders in the costume, E.G. Marshall. We would inflate them. They looked like roaches under them before they came out of the mouth.
As a follow-up, a friend of mine, that building later became I believe it was Westinghouse, built there and used that building. And a friend of mine, Jim Bullheim, you guys might know, went and worked and doing industrial film. And he asked the guy, by the way, do you have any problem with roaches? And the guy said, you wouldn't believe how bad it is. And I'm sure it all came from this.
We gave the furniture to the South Asian Army. And the roaches were completely, that's where they escaped, into the furniture. So we got all these phone calls from the South Asian Army about the roaches living in the furniture. I mean, huge roaches, they're big dead roaches.
So how many days or how many weeks were you guys working with these bugs?
We worked 4 or 5 months before they even came and built the sets. We were there building Fluffy and maid scarves and everything else. And wings, 1 man a month prepared.
So working with a bigger studio, I know there's probably more money, but was it at all any frustration with any of the funding that coming in for the film? You're spending too much money? We need you.
No, not with me. We never had such a problem.
So the genesis of Creepshow, any of you obviously probably fans of EC Comics, you guys grow up with that?
I was, yes. What else? I mean, we had some, Ted Danson was hysterical. We loved Ted Danson. He was so funny. When he's underwater and the plants are floating above him, that was a cage that we built in the studio. And he was underneath it with his head in like a guillotine. But a scuba dive, we had a scuba that he would breathe on and take it out. But I also had a sledgehammer behind my back. So if something went wrong, I would break the glass and save his life. But luckily the scuba gear worked, and he could hold it for a long time.
You guys got some questions? Yeah, I'm right up here. Yeah, come on up. Use the microphone. If you have any questions, come on up.
Thank you so much for grossing out all the passerbys who have no clue who you guys are or what you do. I think that's wonderful. And thank you for all the work you've done and for coming to this convention, which is one of the smaller horror conventions, but it's so intimate. It's so wonderful for everybody here. Yeah, and it's wonderful. So thank you so much for that. I guess I just have to say, when you're working on special effects, especially back in the day when you guys are doing it, you get to improvise all the time. And I love hearing these stories about how you improvise. But what's like? These must be the grossest stories, right? Roaches and maggots. Is there anything grosser you can think of that you had to improvise an effect for that was just
The pig intestines that came out of when we tore Joe Collado on Day of the Dead. We used pig intestines on Tasso right down that hallway when the zombies attack him and the mask on. At first he took them into the bathroom and washed them with hot water before he let them touch him. Pig intestines. Then we pumped blood into them. What else?
He's talking about intestines, but the burning was the first film I was privileged to work with Tom on, and there was just such a slaughter at the lake and people in a canoe, and if you know it, a lot of teenagers go to summer camp and get hacked to bits by a disfigured maniac in the woods. Ever heard of that happening before? Well, yeah, and intestines came from a slaughterhouse, and they were bad, and we didn't wash them. Ew.
Well, constantly, I think 80% of the film was the effects. We were improvised. We came up and we would go to George and say, how about screwdrivers? Yeah, okay, go ahead. So we building and we tried to do a screwdriver. But we came up with a motor.
Speaking of pig intestines, I sort of remember a story of a freezer that wasn't plugged in that had pig intestines.
Well, yeah, we went to, we did a zombie on a table who sits up and his guts, those were real things. So they go into a 5-gallon into the refrigerator. Well, we went to Florida for all that zombie stuff, on the beach. Somebody had unplugged the refrigerator. We came back to passport ransom, but we still had to eat it. The smell was unbelievable. We couldn't protect Joe because you could see up his nose. But we had gas masks on. We were totally poor Joe. He was trapped under the floor for hours, breathing rancid pig intestines.
All right, next, follow that. Next question. Pig intestines gets a round of applause. Anything else? Any other questions? Special effects crew, I know you got it. Come on up.
The pumping out of the graves thing, how many takes did that have to do, and was there a certain way you had to come out the grave?
Well, there was more than one take. And after every take, they would put new cartridges in, and he would have to tear through the cartridge. So it was really this much dirt that he would have to dig through.
How much cartridge?
Answering for you.
Tom, when you first read the script for Creepshow, did you actually say that, well, I can't honestly figure out how to do this, and everything just comes to me like
Your job is to figure out. That's the fun. Fun is inventing this stuff. Never been done before. But I have never done it in one company. Like what? Bravo team taught me how to do it over 2 hours in the phone, I was able to. Bravo team, surely you know the Bravo team. He's the greatest. He did the face. So anyway, he taught me how to do it.
All right. One more question? You got anything?
Hey, that's that guy right there.
That guy right there. Oh, kind stranger. What do you got?
So everybody that loves you knows that you prefer monsters over horror, that you're a monster.
Can you please brush your hair back?
No, follow-up question. Besides Chucky, who is your favorite monster of all time?
I hate fucking Chucky. The dog kicked him across the room. The only reason he kills anybody is because they're stupid enough to trip and fall in front of him. And they kill him. Chucky should not exist.
Thank you, Will.
Now get the fuck out of here.
I think that's about all the time we have. Thank you guys so much. Hey, guys, great folks. Give it up. Good job.
Tom's always hilarious. There's John Ampa, Stara Ferrucci. Alright, I'm gonna go. Got Michael Felsher sitting up there on a bench. He's Red Shirt Pictures, makes all the great documentaries for Romero projects and other stuff. I got a little more time to kill. I'm gonna watch a little bit of the animation section about Creepshow. Then I'm gonna go to Living Dead Museum upstairs for the first time. You can't keep going in because you gotta pay every time. It's like $8 to go in. So I'm gonna do a local video up there because I know I'm gonna lose the signal. And then I have to book. I'm gonna do the Flyboy cosplay character. Do another 3D scan of him. He wants to be an action figure, so I'm gonna use my 3D scan tool. I got a failed attempt the other day. His head was kind of PlayStation-y, although the body turned out okay. So I'm gonna try one more attempt. Unfortunately, he's not in the zombie makeup today. He's back in the Flyboy costume. So anyway, I'm gonna do that, and then I have to book because I'm gonna do some more location stuff on the way to the airport. Go through Pittsburgh, go through the Logan's Ferry Road again, where the airport is, because I found out people said there's another way to see the old airport residents that I totally missed. Left side of the road, not the right side of the road, way in the back. So I'm gonna go check that out. Look at the Creepshow house, and look at the big barn, red barn house that I had an Iron City beer in front of the other day to simulate the redneck and militia drinking their asses off while they're shooting zombies. Anyway, so thanks for everyone who came in. Stay tuned. I'll pop in another one briefly before I go to, well, I might just, oh hey, I'm gonna end it here. Thanks guys, see ya.